Welcome to Brands Hatch for the final event of the season for the Protyre Motorsport Ginetta GT Championship. The championships may have been decided last time out at Donington Park, but we're still very much looking forward to 3 exciting races around the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. A real treat for the drivers to be able to stretch the legs of the most powerful Ginettas, or make racing Ginetta series anyway, in the country on one of the great racetracks of the United Kingdom as well. Mckenzie Douglass has lined up on pole position for our first race of the weekend, fastest in qualifying this morning. Luke Garlick alongside him with Nick White and Matt Shaw, the top 2 AM drivers on row 2. Good to have Matt back on the grid. He had to miss Donington Park last time out. Third row for guest driver Robert Cronin, brother of Colin, who will be racing in the junior championship later on, and Harry Mangan for company on row number 3. Row 4 is shared by Conor Garlick and Ed Akers. So Ed Akers returning to Ginetta racing action. Conor Garlick a lot further down the order than he should be. He's one to watch, I reckon. Callum Noble and Peter Mangan complete the top 10 on row 5. And Seth Henry at the back of the grid, American driver, again, entered as a guest, so doesn't score points, but Seth has flown over from the States specifically to race here this weekend and potentially looking at racing with Ginetta long-term going in the future. So great to have Seth here with us, and interesting to see how he gets on then after limited testing, you would have to imagine, qualifying earlier on this morning, and now straight into his first 20-minute race. It'll be a 2x2 rolling start, as has been the case all season long, and Mckenzie Douglass then on the front row of the grid. What a season Mckenzie has had. He would love now. Icing on the cake would be a hat-trick of race victories here at Brands Hatch. We'll see whether or not that's going to be doable. He certainly started the right way by qualifying fastest earlier on this morning, by about 0.4 of a second actually over Luke Garlick in that qualifying session. We'll see what happens over 20 minutes of racing, a track at which overtaking can be a little bit of a challenge, so the first 30 seconds or so of the race could be crucial. And we saw in the Academy race earlier on, actually, it was the driver who started on the outside of row 1, Harry Gamble that was, who got the jump at the start, not necessarily into Paddock Hill Bend, but by the time they got to Druids, he was up the inside and he had the lead. Can Luke Garlick replicate that? Well, let's find out. The red lights are on the starting gantry. They go out now. We're away and racing in the Protyre Motorsport Ginetta GT Championship, a very even launch off the line. Who will get the advantage through paddock? Inside line held by Douglass, and he will hold the lead. Nick White hops up the curb, avoids contact thankfully with Luke Garlick, but that prevented really any attempt at a switchback from Garlick. So it will be Mckenzie Douglass who leads, and now there's contact, and Matt Shaw into the back of Luke Garlick. Off they both go, and welcome back to the championship. Matt Shaw immediately grabbing the headlines, and off into the gravel trap he will go. Conor Garlick now nipping up the inside of Ed Akers, that is, but drama at Druids, it's so often the case. Like I said, you've got to try and make progress early if you can, and unfortunately for Matt Shaw, that has ended with contact. His car did not look like it was going anywhere. Hopefully Luke Garlick's will, but it is Mckenzie Douglass who leads. It's Nick White second. Third place for Robert Cronin. So Robert Cronin, the guest driver, his debut in the championship, running in third place at the moment. There is damage look to the front of Harry Mangan's car. There is Luke Garlick rejoining the circuit. There also appears to be smoke coming from the right front corner of Ed Akers' car, which is slightly concerning. The blue machine in 5th place with a bit of tyre smoke as well. That, though, is Matt Shaw's car. That's going no further. And that is a real shame for Matt on his return to the championship, as I said. Oops, that's Conor Garlick on the grass now, coming out of Sheen Curve. And there's been quite a lot of rain in this area recently. Today has been dry and sunny, but a lot of rain in the week means that grass is still quite damp, very slippery. And thankfully, Conor managed to keep that together. So, safety car scrambled then. An awful lot to talk about after that first lap of the race. I'm sure we'll get a replay in good time of what happened up at Druids. But yeah, look at Ed Akers' car. I think that's engine. I don't think that's bodywork rubbing, because at this low speed, you wouldn't expect the bodywork to be fouling against the tyre like that. So I think that is an engine issue, perhaps. Doesn't seem aware of it, or at least overly concerned about it, does he? He's still sort of weaving around behind the safety car. He's sort of vaguely coming from the right front corner. It could be that he's had a knock somewhere, but like I said, at low speed, you wouldn't expect that to be quite as obvious. We'll figure that out in a moment. There's Matt Shaw's car off the road. Went quite a long way off the road, didn't he? Carried a bit too much speed in there, I think, and unfortunately, Luke Garlick was in the firing line. Here's a replay then. So Luke Garlick starting on the outside of row 1. Of course, Matt Shaw's right behind him. It was a very neat start, wasn't it? Harry Mangan there broke ranks briefly, then ducked back in line. And as they rounded Paddock Hill Bend, keep an eye on that sort of red and burnt orange car on the outside line with the black front. Luke Garlick comes to the outside, and Matt Shaw brakes so much later than anybody else. Just really couldn't get the car stopped. That was where Harry Mangin got the damage as well. He got into the back of Shaw. And then this was Conor Garlick getting it all wrong through Sheen Curve. You can see the smoky Ed Akers in front of him. But I don't think there's any fluid being dropped by that car. Maybe there is. Maybe that's why Conor Garlick skated off the road behind him. But on cold tyres, that's a very easy mistake to make at Sheen Curve. And Conor did very well to gather the car together. You can see the front bodywork there rippling as it bounced down the grass. But managed to rejoin without losing too much ground. And the safety car came out immediately after that anyway. Trying to see where that smoke was coming from on the Akers car. I think it was coming from the... I don't think it is exhaust. I think it's the exhaust, of course, is at the back of the car. The smoke coming out the side. So maybe it is just something bottoming out or rubbing against a tyre. But if he was noticing anything wrong with the engine, you would imagine he would have used this opportunity behind the safety car to come into the pit lane, but hasn't yet done that. And the smoke does now seem to have eased. So hopefully everything's okay. Let's see if we can see anything right front corner. Not really. But again, like I said, the smoke has stopped anyway for now, so we'll wait until they get back up to racing speed to try and diagnose that one. But Conor Garlick then, the one who survived that moment at Sheen Curve. Matt Shaw's car being pushed by the marshal, or pulled actually by the recovery vehicle out of the gravel trap. And how much damage was done to that car? Not too much, I hope. But the championship already, as I said, wrapped up by Mckenzie Douglass. 133 points to the good coming into this weekend. Conor Garlick, though, 28 points only ahead of his brother Luke. So Luke Garlick out of the, well, not out of the race, but at the back of the field. And Conor Garlick very much still going. That does potentially suggest that that gap is going to come down. Now, Luke Garlick should, yes, he has looked, caught up to the back of the group. So Luke Garlick will still be a factor in this race. That safety car, of course, the reason for the safety car was the incident that he was involved in. So that's not good news, but at least he's been able to benefit from it. There is rear bodywork damage to that car, but hopefully not enough to cause a black and orange flag to be shown. That would mean he would have to pit to get it fixed. And if he can continue in the race, he should be able to make some more progress. As I said, 28 points behind Conor. Conor twice a winner, so too Luke Garlick. The difference really has been second places. 10 second place finishes for Luke Garlick, 5 for Conor. So Luke has been, yes, 10 second places for Luke, 5 for Conor Garlick, and yet Conor Garlick ahead in the points. But of course the drop scores have a lot to do with that as well. Tightening things up rather, 608 points for Mckenzie Douglass, 475 for Conor Garlick coming into this weekend. In the AM category, by the way, Nick White, you will notice, absent this weekend. Nick wrapped up the AM category in the first race, actually, at Donington Park last time out. He is just the 260 points clear. There's Nick White, sorry. Nick White's in second place. What am I talking about? Nick White absent. Of course he's here, second position, but Nick White, the runaway champion in the AM class. He's been mixing it with the professionals all year long and has been a regular challenger for race wins, actually outright race wins all season. And up there in second place, of course, in the early stages here, having taken full advantage of the Luke Garlick drama to move up into P2. Can he now challenge Mckenzie Douglass on the restart? Well, let's find out. The safety car has disappeared to the pit lane, and Mckenzie Douglass has disappeared off into the distance. That was a brilliant restart, that, from Mckenzie Douglass. Nick White not really able to go with him, but in fairness does pull a little bit of a margin over Cronin. Now remember, Cronin does not score points, so we can ignore him from a championship perspective in this battle for second place that's going on, although he's ahead of both of the Garlick siblings anyway at the moment. Conor look in behind Ed Akers, who again is a guest driver, but still physically there on the track, still physically in front of Conor Garlick and preventing Conor, you could say, from going up and challenging Harry Mangin, who is scoring points. And actually, Luke Garlick is only one position in class behind Conor right now, so Conor Garlick is not massively outscoring his brother, who, as I said, is behind in the points, behind in the race now after that lap one spin. What can Conor Garlick do then about Ed Akers as they head out into the countryside for the 4th time? Only the 2nd time at full race pace. Ed Akers ahead, former GT Academy driver. Garlick peeking to the inside into Hawthorne, not able to go through there. But That wide line in might give him a bit more speed down the Minter straight into Westfield. No, not quite able to do anything with it. In the background, Luke Garlick, I think, has gained 1 place. Yes, he's ahead of Seth Henry. And on the tail of Peter Mangan, then will be Callum Noble, and then he can start thinking about attacking his brother. Those two, remember, started the season with a photo finish in one of the races at Donington Park back over Easter weekend. And fitting, therefore, that they're still battling for a championship position at the end of the year. Underneath the bridge, down towards Clearways corner, really tricky corner that, over the crest, the car goes light, understeers wide, then in the compression it grips again. That's why they turn back across to the inside line, take the shortest route possible to the line. And Conor Garlick, I think, is teeing up a move here, isn't he? Looks to the inside line, commits to the inside line, and has the inside line as they turn into the corner. Through he will go. Ed Akers will try to switch back, but didn't quite have the momentum. So Conor Garlick then up a spot. Great, that's 5th position. It didn't actually gain him any points. And Luke Garlick here, look, is up the inside of Callum Noble. So he's dispatched of Peter Mangan and now goes past Noble for 7th place. Again, Noble, an AM driver, so that didn't gain Luke Garlick any points, but it puts him 1 step closer to his brother. Down towards Surtees, meanwhile, comes Cronin, and, well, Robert Cronin really in a feisty mood here, isn't he? Look, up the inside of Nick White, nearly into Surtees. Nick didn't panic, though. You can take that inside line into Surtees. You'll be quick on the way into the corner, but it's a steep uphill acceleration zone, a late apex generally. And that means taking the wide sweeping line in is usually better. Now, drama for Luke Garlick, I'm afraid. I mentioned this possibility of a black and orange mechanical warning flag being shown to him. Well, it is being shown, so Luke Garlick is going to have to pit within the next 3 laps to get that rear bodywork seen to, and without another safety car, he is now going to struggle to score any more points. So this is a big disaster for Luke Garlick in the context of the championship battle, for 2nd in the championship anyway. And, Conor Garlick may not be having the best race himself, but now looks very likely to outscore his brother. It's the battle for 2nd. Cronin, the Fox Motorsport driver, in behind another Fox Motorsport prepared car of Nick White. And there, Fox Motorsport team member hangs the pit board out over the pit wall. Like a good lap that from Conor Garlick. Yeah, Conor Garlick then, having got past Ed Akers, was 3/10 quicker than Harry Mangan ahead of him, who does run in the same class. And there, look, confirmation on the screen of the black and orange warning flag for this car. And the reason for that black and orange warning flag is for that damage on the back of the car. It's not a lot of damage. Bodywork is flapping, it's not super loose, but anyway, it's loose enough that the clerk of the course has decided he wants to bring that car in for repairs. And so in will have to come Luke Garlick. That was the first time that he would have seen that flag. And, well, his heart will have sunk at the sight of it, that is for sure. Down the hill we go. Battle for 2nd place is on once more. And Robert Cronin, very impressive debut this, for one of 4 Cronin siblings. I think all of them race. Cronin, of course, of rallying fame and multiple national level champion. But Robert and Colin very much going down the circuit racing route. Colin with reasonable success actually of late in the Ginetta Junior Championship. Colin got his first win in the championship at Donington last time out, and now Robert Cronin up here in a podium place on his debut in the Ginetta GT Championship. Now, is Luke Garlick going to pit this time, I wonder? In a way, the longer you stay out there, the more chance there is the bodywork will fall off, which of course is the reason that you are being shown the black and orange flag in the first place, because there's a danger it might fall off. But oddly, once it does fall off, the flag then tends to go away. But no, Luke isn't going to take the chance. He bails for the pit lane, and hopefully the Zentek Motorsport team are ready with some good old-fashioned tank tape to repair the back of the car with. Got to find them first, of course. He might not know exactly where in the pit lane they've positioned themselves. Meanwhile, good battle going on here between Peter Mangan and another of the newbies, Seth Henry. Seth there in the number 14 car, the American. And moved up to challenge going into Paddock Hill Bend. Wasn't quite able to get past Mangan. Saw Peter getting involved in some good battles at Donington Park last time out. Definitely seemed to have found a bit more pace, but Brands Hatch not quite able to keep up with the likes of Callum Noble ahead of him. Is still in a class podium place, though, is Mangan, after Matt Shaw's not finished, so still on course for a decent result. Right, 2nd place, Nick White versus Robert Cronin. And not for the first time there, Nick White just sort of moving to the middle of the road to cover. There goes Luke Garlick's car back into the fray, but the damage very much done now, I think, literally and figuratively. With 7.5 minutes to go, he's the best part of a lap behind him. He's just going up through Druids now, I think. On his outlap from the pit lane, and the lead group, as you can see, is heading down towards the end of the lap. In fact, no, Luke Garlick is only now at Druids, and the leader already heading for the timing line, so the best part of a lap down. No real chance of picking up any more points unless others fall by the wayside. Hopefully that doesn't happen. So through goes Mckenzie Douglass as the race leader, a new fastest lap, a 1:32.9 is only a couple of tenths slower than qualifying pace. And by qualifying pace, I mean pole position pace as well. So Mckenzie Douglass is flying. He is 5.7 seconds up the road now from Nick White and Robert Cronin, who continue to do battle for second position. Oh, Cronin jinked to the inside, then maybe braked a little bit too late and ran a little bit wide of the apex. They dropped downhill through the 90-degree left-hander at Graham Hill Bend. Slightly better exit there from Cronin, but that's perhaps really because he was carrying a bit too much speed, went out over the exit curve. Got to be careful doing that. You will get pinged for exceeding track limits. Already I can tell you that car 19, Callum Noble, has been warned about track limits excursions. So they are watching, and of course here at Brands Hatch we have the pressure pad system, which you really can't argue with as a driver. If you run over the sensor, a camera automatically takes a picture incriminating you and proving that you did indeed go beyond track limits. And that picture goes straight to the clerk of the course, so always in the back of your mind racing here at Brands Hatch. You even see them, I think, these days on the inside of corners such as Sheen Curve there that they just went through. So over the exit curve they go, then down towards Clearways. And where, if anywhere, does Robert Cronin make his move? It's always a difficult thing to do as a guest driver, I think, to come into a championship, particularly at the end of the year where there may or may not still be championship battles going on. It's a difficult thing to do, to come into the championship and know exactly how hard you can race. This is some pretty hard racing, though. This is Seth Henry on the outside of Peter Mangan, and Seth Henry sails by, so really good stuff there. He must have had a good run out of Surtees. That would have started the move and then committed to the outside line. It's a difficult place to be on the outside into Clearways. And because it is the dirty side of the road, lots of dust and dirt and debris out there. Not generally the grippiest side of the road, but anyway, Seth managed to go through. That's 8th place now for the man from the USA. Here come Nick White and Robert Cronin, meanwhile. Cronin again taking the wide line in. Now that time does seem to hook up the late apex a little bit better. He'll get a bit of a slipstream down the hill and might now force a defensive move out of Nick White. This is often how this goes here at Brands Hatch. You don't really overtake up the inside into Hawthorn. You try to make the other driver defend. That will slow them on the exit and maybe give you a chance to get up the inside into Westfield. It didn't quite happen for Robert Cronin that time, but he's definitely close to Nick White and I think looks a little bit faster. And easier, of course, to be the chasing car. You've got a reference, you can sort of gauge how fast you can go compared to the car in front of you and sort of copy their movements a little bit, but Robert does look the racier of the two. Cannot over-stress. Oh, that's Conor Garlick, and that is a right rear puncture, I think. Conor Garlick then. So both of the Garlick siblings in trouble. Yeah, definitely a right rear puncture. Unless he's had contact, you have to imagine he's either run over something or it was a curb strike that's done that. But that tyre has definitely gone down. Now, that is a rare sight. He needs to be careful not to do more damage to the car. They may or may not have spare tyres waiting in the pit lane. If they do, they'll get him back out there. But, of course, crucially, he might now end up finishing behind his brother Luke, ironically. So it looked like Luke Garlick was down and out in the fight for second place in the championship. But all of a sudden, he has been handed a bit of a lifeline. Conor is just now, I think, trickling into the pit lane. So Conor Garlick's race not over necessarily. It all depends on whether they've got a new tyre to put on the car. Most of the teams will bring spare tyres into the pit lane for these support races. Of course, here at Brands Hatch, the Ginetta Championship are all located out on the outer paddock, so the teams have to bring quite a lot of equipment through on trolleys, through the tunnel, down the back end of the paddock, into the pit lane, sort of steal a British GT Championship team's pit bay for half an hour or so. And from there, they will go to work if they can. Again, the Zentek Motorsport team having to scramble into action. Mckenzie Douglass, though, is having a pretty easy time of this. There he goes. And then we wait. And we wait and we wait, and eventually the battle for second place appears. They were, at the end of the previous lap, 6.6 seconds behind the race leader, and it's still Nick White in second position. Started to say before, you can't overstress, really, what a good season Nick White has had, not only in the context of his championship battle, but just the fact that he has been up there mixing it with the pro drivers so often. Nick, though, has won 17 of the 18 races this year so far in his class. He's on course for another now. There's a plume of tyre smoke from the pit lane. That was Conor Garlick leaving his pit box, now with a new right rear tyre attached. And he rejoins a lap down, which means he has dropped behind Luke Garlick now. Timing screen won't necessarily show that just yet, but he will be behind Luke. Luke has already gone through. There is Mckenzie Douglass, the entire length of the Cooper straight now between himself and second place. Conor Garlick, I suppose, has rejoined more or less where he was in the running order, just a lap back, so doubly frustrating, really. You can see the battle that he should have been chasing down. Probably would have fancied his chances of catching them, but not meant to be. Last downhill towards Hawthorn. We will have this and one more lap, I think. Probably lapping in 1 minute 33s, yes, so less than a lap time left now. So this will be the penultimate lap, and Robert Cronin running out of opportunities now to find a way past his teammate, I suppose, for the weekend, Nick White. But Nick, with the championship already sewn up, doesn't really have anything to fight for here. He wants to get the best result possible, of course he does. Keep that win record going in the AM class, but if Cronin got past him, that would still mean a win for Nick White in class. So in a way, what I'm saying is if Robert Cronin comes knocking, there may be an argument to say that Nick White doesn't want a penalty to blot his copybook on the final round, might just let him go. But I don't think that's really the Nick White way. He wants to try and finish second if he can. Number 26, Robert Cronin, now being warned about exceeding track limits, but as we go on to the final lap of the race, I don't think he'll be too concerned about that. Late on the brakes, carry the speed up the hill into Druids. Patient on the throttle, now hit the loud pedal, accelerate downhill very quickly into Graham Hill Bend. See, they all use that little bit of green painted tarmac on the way in just to widen the approach to the corner. That is completely legal. They're not monitoring track limits on the way into the corner, only the way out. And Robert Cronin goes for it up the inside into Surtees. Nick White closes the door very firmly in his face. That was really good, respectful driving there. Nick White put a lot of faith in Robert Cronin that Robert was going to get out of that gap as he saw Nick White coming across the front of him, which he did. But Nick was taking no prisoners there. You would forgive him, wouldn't you, really, for opening out the steering slightly and just sort of letting Robert Cronin have the inside line, but he wasn't going to let that happen. Mckenzie Douglass is already, though, heading out of Sheen Curve on his final lap, well on course for another race victory. And while Mckenzie Douglass's record is not quite as impressive as Nick White's AM class win record, but he's certainly been taking home a lot of silverware this year. This will be his 15th win from 19 races. He's had 4 further podium finishes as well. That is why he is provisionally the champion for 2024. And it is car 24 on the top step of the podium once again. Mckenzie Douglass wins for Fox Motorsport. And it's another dominant display for Douglass. It will be Nick White in second place. Robert Cronin gave it his all, but just couldn't quite find a way through. Still a really good result, that, though, from 5th on the grid. Then not Conor Garlick. Remember, he's a lap down, so it will be Harry Mangan in 4th. That is 2nd in class. And Ed Akers next. Callum Noble comes through to finish 2nd in the AM class. And Peter Mangan should take home 3rd. Now, meanwhile, in a world of his own, is Luke Garlick heading down into Hawthorn. His race hasn't finished yet. In fact, he's still got half a lap to go. He's got a very badly damaged windscreen. That was already damaged at Donington, I seem to remember. The back of his car is now more tank tape than it is bodywork. But somehow he's going to outscore Conor Garlick, which in that fight for second place in the Pro Championship could be of some significance. This may end up being a drop score for Conor, well, and maybe even Luke as well, I suppose. We'll wait for the points to be updated overnight, but Luke Garlick is going to score some points from this race, and it will be fractionally more points than Conor Garlick. It's worth pointing out as well, although they're right down at the back of the field, they were still 3rd and 4th in class, so actually there's a very good chance that won't be a drop score, because they have both definitely had non-finishes earlier in the season. So actually, a 3rd and a 4th in class doesn't sound too bad when you put it that way. Luke Garlick flashes through to finish the race in 3rd in class. Mckenzie Douglass is already halfway down the pit lane, ready to celebrate the win with the team. That was a very, very good performance, that, from Mckenzie Douglass. He saw off the only real challenge that he ever had in that race, which was Luke Garlick trying to go with him into turn 1, but managed to keep Luke behind, and then when Luke was knocked off the road by Matt Shaw, from that point on it was pretty plain sailing. Nailed the restart as well, didn't give Nick White any opportunity to challenge him on the restart. out of the car he gets, and Mckenzie Douglass celebrates another win in the Protyre Motorsport Ginetta GT Championship. The winning feeling, it just never gets old, does it? Some people may get bored watching championships, seeing the same driver win, but I can assure you the drivers are not bored one bit. Mckenzie Douglass then is a winner once again in the Ginetta GT Championship. Nick White comes home second and claims his 18th AM-class win from 19 races. Robert Cronin, the guest driver, finishes in third ahead of Harry Mangan and Ed Akers with Callum Noble, Seth Henry, Peter Mangan next. Luke Garlick ninth. Disappointing result maybe, but that's still third in class and still better than Conor Garlick, so he will narrow the advantage slightly held by his brother in the fight for second place in the championship. Conor was 10th, and Matt Shaw, the race's only non-finisher, after that lap 1 tangle with Luke Garlick up at Druids. So the Protyre Motorsport Ginetta GT Championship will have 2 more races tomorrow, so we'll get the updated points overnight for second place in the championship. We'll see exactly who is going to come out on top with 2 more races still to go. Race 1 then of the weekend for the Protyre Motorsport Ginetta GT Championship saw Mckenzie Douglass, the champion-elect, start from pole position, and despite an early challenge from Luke Garlick, he would lead all the way to the flag. The drama, though, was behind. The returning Matt Shaw got it all wrong into Druids on lap 1, clattered into the back of Luke Garlick, and sent the man who is third place in the championship spinning into the gravel. Thankfully, Luke was able to continue. Matt was not, so a safety car period was called for. After 2 laps behind the safety car, the race got back underway and Mckenzie Douglass nailed the restart, sailing off into the lead. Conor Garlick was on the move, getting up the inside of Ed Akers, making his debut in the championship to pick up another place, but his brother Luke was also on the comeback trail, the safety car allowing him a chance briefly to challenge for a good result, although he would be given a black and orange flag for loose bodywork, forcing him to pit. Seth Henry made a good move around the outside at the final corner, and then Conor Garlick picked up a right rear puncture and unbelievably, after a pit stop, ended up being outscored by his brother in the end. Then there was a good battle going on for second position, with Robert Cronin challenging Nick White all the way, couldn't quite find a way through on the last lap. All of this, though, going on some way behind Mckenzie Douglass, who sailed home to claim another race victory here at Brands Hatch.